After your glue is dry, it's time to put polyurethane over the top of the stain. Stain is used to change the color of the wood, and polyurethane is used to seal it from moisture in the air. Take your brush, ask Mr. Flaherty for these if you don't have one. Make sure you take care of it, write your name on it, and clean it when you're done, because this is your brush for the quarter. So take a little bit on the end, a ½ inch or so, and then just nice light coats. You don't want to see any puddles, you don't want to see any dribbles or bumps. Just cover the edge. I would say start with your lighter colored stain, because that darker colored stain may rub off onto the polyurethane, and then you're going to have some color mixing. So start with the lighter colored stain first, especially on your first coat. After your first coat, the polyurethane will seal that stain, so you won't see that anymore, or you won't see the color mixing anymore. But start with the light color. You're better off with an extra coat of stain and doing them light than fewer coats that are done heavy. Get the edge of your cone as well. When you're doing the edge, you have to be careful for drips, because they'll tend to catch on the edge of the board. Gloves are not necessary for this step, or this process. Just be careful and be clean. Notice how only the end of the brush is being used here. I'm only using the end ½ inch or ½ inch or so of the brush. The whole thing isn't getting dunked in the stain. If you dunk the whole brush, it's really messy and you don't get as good a finish. Now this is the first coat of 3. After each coat, or after the second coat and the first coat, we're going to use some fine sandpaper and just smooth the polyurethane. So the cone is done now. So there's a puddle. You can see it's kind of milky colored, kind of white color. I'm just going to brush that out. Then I will polyurethane around the rest of the speaker. So this will seal the wood. It'll also make it nice and shiny. I would say you want to try and get it inside of the speaker or the phone compartment here too. Get as best you can in there with your brush. That way you can seal that bare wood. And I'm applying this with the grain. Again, trying to avoid bubbles and avoid blotches. I'm going to skip putting polyurethane on the bottom in this first step, because otherwise it's going to stick to the paper. So I'm going to leave that dry. You can set it out. It'll dry in about 15 minutes. You should be able to get 2 coats on in one class period. Before you put your second coat and your third coat of polyurethane on your passive amplifier, take some fine sandpaper, just some loose stuff out of the cabinet is fine, and just run one pass across each surface. But make sure you sand with the grain, and all you're doing here is knocking off the bubbles and the rough spots on your polyurethane. Don't sand too much, because that would take the finish right off. You're just trying to smooth it out so that before the next coat it has a nice smooth surface. So sand before your second coat and sand before your third coat. Do not sand after the third coat because that'll take the shine off of the polyurethane.